Okay, welcome back to part 3 of Professional VFX Workflow. Today we're going to talk about setting up your projects in like After Effects and Fusion and how to get those going so that everything comes out the way it should, and when you return your VFX shots to editorial there are no hiccups, no weird anomalies, anything like that. So here we go. We're in After Effects. I'm in After Effects 2025. We've got a new project file opened up, and so what we're going to do is go ahead and import. I'm just going to hit Control I and bring in some footage. Okay, so I've got my EXR file in here, and we've pulled it in. It should, if there's nothing going on under the hood, this is what it looks like. That's how you know we're back in that linear color space. This is so this is going to be Aces, linear, and what we want to do is just tell After Effects not to mess with it. After Effects likes to bring files in and try to convert them to like a sRGB, and it's right here. It just modifies things. So what you want to do is let me backtrack here. You want to interpret footage, main, color, and then preserve RGB. Hit OK. Now, if you've got a lot of files that you're bringing in, a little cheat code you can do is click on it, hit Control Alt and C. Control Alt C will copy those interpretation settings, and then when you bring in the next file, we'll just go ahead and do that. Boom, import the next file. Now we can just hit Control Alt V. I'm sure it's probably Command Alt V on a Mac. And it just took all of the settings from this file and copied them over to this file, and now you're ready to go. So what we'll do, we'll go ahead, open up a new comp, and we will rename things. So we've got GA0110, and then what I like to do at this point is another underscore, and then we'll say comp. And so this helps distinguish between the original file will always be named this sequence. It'll be GA, reel 1, shot 1. And then by adding comp onto the end, it signifies that it's been through VFX and it has been composited. So VFX has touched this. That way when this file ultimately goes back to editorial, they can tell the difference between the original file and the VFX file. So that's just why we do that. Again, going to turn this setting off. So what we're going to do, let's start messing with our color space. We're going to click the little the RGB little button here, set project working space, OCIO color managed, Aces 1.2. Make sure your bit depth is 32 bits per channel. You could do trilinear or tetrahedral. And the working color space is the important part here. We're going to go to Aces 2651. That's your basic vanilla Aces color space here. And then your display color space. If you're working on like movies or TV, you're going to want to do Rec 709 is usually what those finish to. But we're just going to be viewing Rec 709. We're not actually going to export Rec 709. So hit OK. And now it's in that workspace. We can see that it's doing its thing. You can change over here what your display is. So we'll just Rec 709. Now everything looks like normal footage. Yay, we're doing our work. Now when it comes time to export this, we will look at those settings. So we'll do composition, add to render queue. If you're exporting your final EXRs, for example, so we're going to go open EXR sequence. You can click your format options and just select that PIS compression. You want to do see floating point. All this looks good, and then preserve RGB. Again, clicking that will make sure that this exports without doing any color changes to the clip. That way it goes out the exact same way that it came in. And then we will save it somewhere. And we'll just create a folder with the same name. And then the key here, so the project file we named comp, and then each export you're going to give a version name. So it'll be comp and then V001. And get into that. And then just make sure here, before your frame numbers here, we're going to just say V001. So now we got German ambush, reel 1, shot 1, comp V1, and then your frame numbers. Great. Mash the render button. and it's going to come out as linear EXRs. Now, if you were exporting a MOV file just for like editorial, you know, a lot of times you're going to throw these up on Frame.io to get your notes and stuff. So in that case, we don't want the final EXRs. We just want to create a little QuickTime, and usually I do a DNX HD 1080p LB 8-bit. This just creates a quick little preview 8-bit, you know, 1080p file. After Effects is going to give you a warning because the original clip is 4K and the DNX HD is 1920 by 1080. That's fine. We can click resize. From the custom menu, just choose this 1920 by 1080. That will solve all the problems. And then in the color tab, uncheck preserve RGB, and we're going to set it to output Rec 709. And let's give that a render real quick and make sure that my settings are right. Awesome. So we have a watchable file. So this actually exported to Rec 709, which is great. You can throw this up on, you know, Vimeo, Frame.io, whatever, and get your notes from editorial or directors, producers, and then when it comes time to do your final export, you can set it up back to the EXR export. I did a video previously on how to set up your color management in After Effects, and it's just a different way to do it, so I can show you that real quick. For that method, what you're going to do is you're going to add a new layer, give it an adjustment layer, and then in your effects and presets, you're going to drop in a color space transform. Boop. And okay. Now in our project working space now, we will set the working color space to none. We don't want After Effects to do any color management under the hood. And then, you know, don't have to, but just set the view space, the display color space to none as well. Now we're going to do all of our color management inside this effect here. And so our input color space is aces. Output color space we want to set to Rec 709, which is going to be down here. We'll just, if you use your arrow key, you can scroll down this menu. Output Rec 709. Okay, and now we've got the same thing here. And then same thing when you go to export this one. You want to go into your color and preserve RGB. You will do this every time now because we're controlling the color management outside of After Effects. So always preserve that RGB when you're exporting, whether it's MOV files or EXRs. And then when you do your final EXR export, you know, you want to send it back to editorial the same way that it came in. Just turn off the LUT basically, and you can export. Now, when you add your effects and stuff, you know, say you wanted to do things, and you just want to make sure that it always is underneath the adjustment layer, and because if it goes on top, now you're compositing things that don't match, right? So when you send this final comp to editorial, they're going to put their LUT on everything. So you want to do the same thing in your VFX workflow. You want to make sure that your LUT goes over top of everything. We'll just call that OCIO for your open color IO. And that goes on top of everything you do. No matter what you put in here, you want to make sure this is at the top. That way you're getting a consistent color management, color conversion, that sort of thing. And then from there, you know, if this doesn't look right or whatever, you can tweak it. This is compositing. This is, you know, making footage look like it looks like, you know, it belongs with the other footage. So you're just gonna kind of mess around with your colors until you get it right there. And when you're happy, you can export it. You know, if you're doing your preview file, just leave the LUT turned on, export an MOV. If you're doing your final export for editorial, just turn it off and send it out. And so that's how you do your color management within After Effects. Now let's quickly, let's take a look at color management in Fusion. Alright, so now we are in Fusion, and I'm just doing this because a lot of times when I render CG elements from like Blender and stuff, I like to bring them into Fusion to do my compositing. The first thing you've got to do is, this is Fusion Studio, by the way, so it looks a little bit different than the Fusion that comes with DaVinci Resolve. A lot of the principles are the same. Resolve does its own color management within that software, so the setup is going to be a little bit different, but I like to work in Fusion Studio, which is the standalone software, and it does cost a little bit of money to purchase the license for it, but it's one and done. It's not like Adobe where you have to pay a monthly subscription, so that's kind of also another benefit of using Fusion is you purchase the software and then you own it, and it's a one-time thing. So we're going to drop in some footage. All right, we've got our EXRs. Now we hit the one key, number one, and it will give us a preview of that. And then we can click this box here and get a full screen there. Boom. Okay. And then we just want to make sure all of our settings are right. I like to start it on frame 1. So that'll update frame 1 to 86. You just have to refresh your first frame here. And that's that. In the import tab, you just want to, I like to make sure that the proper color space is set. You don't have to, I don't think necessarily, but it's good just to sort of make sure that the software knows, what's coming in, and that way it kind of avoids any mishaps as far as color management goes. Now it still looks like, the dark linear color space. So to fix that, it's going to be this little grid button is our color management, and we're going to hit the drop down arrow, set it to gamut view LUT, and edit that. So our source space is aces, and our output space we want to view as, here we go, ITU RBT 709 scene referred. Okay, and then you can add gamma, which is going to add the 2.4 gamma curve. Currently it's linear. It's got a gamma curve of 1, which is no curve at all. And when you add that gamma, it's going to give it a little bit of a curve so that it looks how you would expect video to look. Cool. And so now you can just kind of turn this on and off as you're working, and it's always going to just display what's going on when you do different things. Just keep updating this. You can do like your different effects, blah, blah, blah. And then when you're ready to export, you can drag out a saver node here, give it a place to save. Yes. So your output color space, you can dictate this as well. So if we're going to do our final export, set it up for aces, and format, we'll do, you can do float 16 is half. We will change this to PIS wavelet. And I'm missing something. Oh, here it is. Okay, in the File tab, Output Format, Open EXR. Boom. Again, if you wanted to just do the preview file for notes, you could do QuickTime Movies, export. I would change this to your scene referred 709. Same thing here, and click Apply Curve. That's going to apply this curve to the footage. And then your format, you can do the DNX LB 8-bit, frame rate 24. Make sure you're not missing anything. Yep, looking good. You can also just do H.264. That's fine too. Nothing wrong with that. That's I think most your Apple computers. I feel like I remember on a Mac sometimes it displays DNX HD files kind of weird. So H.264 might be your better bet if you are on Apple products. And get all that set up. And then you'll just come down here and you'll click the render button. It'll do its thing, and you're ready to go. So that's how you set up your color management in Fusion Studio and in After Effects. And when you're good to go there, what I like to do is just hit Save As. Make sure you go to your folder, AE files, and just save this as you can just name it the same thing, click Save. So once you've got your project set up, your color management is good to go, everything looks the way it should and works the way it should, now you can move into shot prep, which usually includes the roto and tracking and things like that to get you ready to go for adding in your assets and doing your compositing. So stay tuned for that video, it'll be coming out next.